afternoon, everyone.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to August edition of Plateau Tech Talk, brought to you by Plateau ICT Development Agency under the distinguished leadership of Engineer Tom Dominic, Director General of PICDA. Our topic for today is the Internet and You, responsible use of AI. My name is Catherine Weir, your moderator for today, and I'm delighted to be joined by two distinguished panelists. Dr. Oyeyinka Oyerinde, Associate Professor of Information Systems and Artificial Intelligence at University of Jos, and Mrs. Loretta Tohomdet, an experienced AI expert who has worked extensively with real-world AI application. We thank you both for being here. To viewers, we appreciate you for joining us on this edition. Before we dive into our questions for today, let's frame our discussion. AI is everywhere, and from the apps we use daily to business automation and the tools that help students, entrepreneurs. Today's session will help us focus on the use of AI and ensure that it empowers humans and not harm them. So before we go into our discussion properly, we would like our panelists to just say hi to our viewers.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Prof. Good afternoon, Katrine, and good afternoon to the viewers. I'd wanted to let my Oga go first, but he didn't say anything. So, my name is Loretta, just like the moderator has said, and I hope that we would all be learning today together and also would go with something at least after the call. Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Inka, please, are you there? Dr. Inka, please, are you there? Okay, I think we lost Dr. Inka, he's not close by. So we'll just get straight into the questions for the day. Mrs. Loretta, please. In simple terms, what is AI and how can we enlighten responsible use of AI for everyday internet users?
Okay, thank you. So I don't think AI is something that people don't know as a now that we're talking. I feel like everyone already knows or thinks they know what artificial intelligence is. So there's an example I always use when I'm talking about AI, especially as a lecturer. When I try to explain maybe complex ideas to my students, I try to bring it down to their level. So let's talk about maybe we're talking about artificial. We already know what artificial is. So if I have um, a hair on my head that is not mine, you know that that hair actually looks like mine, but it's actually not mine. So that makes it artificial. So the same way with artificial intelligence, you just have machines that reason, learn the way humans will learn. Okay, so they are not humans, but they reason like we would reason. That is basically what artificial intelligence is. And sorry, your second question again.
How can we enlighten responsible use of AI for everyday internet users?
Okay, so we have a lot of people using AI now, whether we like it or not. A lot of us are already using AI. If you're already using Facebook, in some way, you're also an AI user. Okay, so when you use AI, it's very important for you to any applications you're using, I'll just outline them to make them very simple. The first thing you should do when you try to install an application from maybe Play Store or from the App Store, you first of all read the terms and conditions. I know that it's usually very lengthy and sometimes gets boring, but it's important that you read it. It's not the time to just say, oh, I would still agree at the end of the day. No, you actually don't have to agree. If you don't want to, you don't have to. So it's important that you first of all read the terms and conditions. And then the second thing that I would actually advise as a responsible AI user is so when you install an application on your phone, a lot of times you'd see it's saying allow camera, allow contact. Now let's stop and think for a moment. If I'm installing a photo editor application on my phone, why for goodness sake do I need to allow my contact? Like there's no business with my photo editor app and my contact. You get, so it's very important that you think first, why is this thing asking you to allow access to contact or mic or camera and all of those things? If you don't need to, you don't have to. So you have to think first. So the first thing to do as an AI system user is to think before you do anything. You have to stop and think, because it has to do with stopping and thinking before you do anything. And then the other thing I would say is so most times, because we are, should I call it lazy, or we don't just really care, we just try to sign up with an existing account. This is what I mean. I have this new application and they're asking me to sign up. But then I don't want to start putting a new password, putting a new username and all of that. So I just say sign with Gmail, that kind of thing. So that is also,
Yeah.
it's very important that we use separate identities, okay, so that we are not putting our things in one place, because once that AI is getting your data, it's also getting your data from your Gmail. And we know that your Gmail has some sensitive maybe informations, mails that you have exchanged, and you don't want it to go outside of your space. So it's important that you create separate identities. Then I think another thing is whenever you go to a site and they're asking for your details, so every site that collects your details, your name or your profile picture or whatever, should be regulated by what is called the GDPR. GDPR is General Data Protection Regulation. So if you see that there's no place in that site that says that it is regulated by GDPR, I think you should run, because what it means is that your data is not protected and you cannot hold them if they use your data for anything. And we know that all companies now are very hungry for data, because with AI, there's no AI without data, right? So it's important to also find out where there's something I usually say: if you're not paying for the product, that means that you are the product. Okay, so when you see AI applications giving you free access, you're looking for free, you don't want to pay. It's not because they love you so much and they can't do without you that they're giving it to you for free, but it's because you are the product. This is what I mean, that you are the product. That means they are collecting your data. If they're not collecting your data to use, it means they are collecting your data to sell. Okay, so it's important that you are aware of these things, even if you cannot control it. Like, you have to still use the application at the end of the day. It's important for you to know. Then there was this time that on Facebook, I'm trying to be fast because I know there are a lot of questions you have, right? So
Yeah.
there's one time that something was going on the social media. Facebook was it seems they actually enabled the privacy settings whilst it's supposed to be disabled by default. So what this means is that they were trying to train their llama model, and so they needed everybody's data. Everybody on that platform, they needed their data. So whilst in the You know, the same application you use in the US, Facebook in the US is different Facebook in Africa. Our Facebook is different from theirs. So in ours, the settings was automatically enabled, while in the US it was disabled. So it's important that you check. Don't just assume that they'll do the right thing. Like I said, every company is hungry for data. So they would enable it and expect you to disable it. If you don't disable it, that's then they are good to go. So it's important for you to also check your privacy settings and then deactivate it if you don't want them to use your data to train their models. So and one last thing I would also mention is using um, AI tools responsibly is so you're protecting your data. There's this feature on WhatsApp that allows you to view once. Okay, I think that's actually a very important feature because you don't want somebody to carry your data and use it for something else. Maybe your image that you've uploaded to use it for something else and all of those things. So uh, it's important for you to also use it so that the person just use what you want him to see and then does away with it. So I think that's all for your my response.
Okay, thank you very much for our viewers. From this response, we've learned a lot. We've learned how to use AI, how to rely on AI data, and how to protect our personal information while using AI services at the same time. Thank you. So, our next question for you is, what are the biggest opportunities AI presents for young entrepreneurs in Nigeria, and what risks do they need to watch out for?
Okay, so there are a lot of them, but I'll just narrow it down to those that because we have a lot of SMEs, so I'm assuming that it's going to be more relevant. What we'll be saying today will be more relevant to them than um, say Google or another big organization and all that. So the opportunities that are there, one I would say is automation. Okay. So while you have let's say 500 people to attend to in say 24 hours, that can be overwhelming. So with AI, you can just automate your processes. Maybe make use of chatbots to just respond to your clients because people are really moving fast on the internet. If I come online and I ask how much is your biscuit, and then you are not responding me within 5 minutes, the moment I've asked you, I'll go again and I'll ask another person. So the earlier you respond to me is the more likely I am to patronize you, right? So you can just
Yeah.
automate your processes. Let it sound like you. Make use of WhatsApp chat bots, Facebook bots, and every other bot. If you're using a separate website on your system, it's important for you to make use of chat bots. And then it's also important for you to make use of, say, analytics. um, Google Analytics is one. There are so many other tools that you can make use of. So what this does is it tells you where your clients are more. This is what I mean. If I sell glasses, for instance, and I have analytics installed on my platform, now what analytics does is I get to see where people are buying these glasses more in real time. I think Zara Design does this same thing. So you hardly see Zara doing marketing, but they rely on the data that they have. So with analytics, you get to see where people are purchasing this your glasses more, and then you strengthen your distribution in that area. That way, you are not wasting. So people who buy my glasses are more in just south, right? I don't have to waste my time sending so much to just east when I know that they might not really buy. Rather, I'll put more of my energy in supplying to just south because that's where my customers are, right? So that is another thing. And another thing also that would help business sectors is AI recommendation and prediction. So I'll just talk about AI recommendation and then leave prediction aside. So for recommendation, imagine I am on your site, you sell food, and I come on your website to maybe purchase or buy or order for jollof rice. And after placing my order for jollof rice, there's a recommendation to get maybe peppered chicken or um salad. And these things really look very nice. I can see very nice pictures popping up. And because I can't eat my jollof rice like that, I would want to purchase that. What have I done? What have you done as the food vendor? You've succeeded in putting it in my eyes, making me buy, but then you are increasing your sales as well, right? So there are so many other things I can go on and on, but I know that you would soon cut me off because I can talk actually to. So I think, yeah. Then I think you spoke about the risk.
Yeah, the risks they should watch out for.
Okay, so the risk now is sometimes when you're making use of like chatbots, for instance, people want to have a sense of human. They want to know that they are communicating with a human. And if you just leave everything to chatbots, it might take away trust in your product or in your business because the person is not sure he's communicating to a human. He might want a call and all of that. So it's important that you bring in yourself to say something. If you don't, the person might leave. Okay, that's the risk that is involved. And then if you're creating maybe marketing flyers for your business, you're creating posts, logos, it's also important that you look at it with your human eyes because AI might bring in some things that um, are not in line with your business. So those are basically the risk, but every other thing works well for businesses.
Okay, thank you very much. Earlier you mentioned some common risks that people make when using AI. Like they don't read the terms and conditions, they don't know if their data is protected and all of that.
Yeah.
Just for our viewers' sake, can you help us maybe just a simple outline on how they can avoid them? They are lazy readers, people that may not want to read at the
Mm-hmm.
point. But then if something that is you mentioned what is a photo editor looking for with your contacts, that is a
Yeah.
flag. So maybe can you just give us a few outline of something they can avoid, something that shows them this is a red flag, get out of this place.
Okay. So I think with AI stuff are not like Photoshop where you can easily see and know that this was actually photoshopped, right? But there are some things that I do when I see like AI. I don't know if I'm responding to your question properly, but from what I'm getting is if I see a text, thank God prof is in the group, and for us in academics we know that if there is no fact then it's not true, right? So you have to fact check your text, check where I can say Nigeria is the best country, but what facts do I have to back that up that Nigeria is actually the best country? You get, you must get where it's coming from. And then if you're working with images, you could see that the images, there's a mismatch. If you've created an AI image before, you'd see that it wasn't a perfect image. You would either see the odd shadows, or the earrings are really odd, not sticking to the ear holes properly. You could see maybe no shadows. You could see like there are some things that you would see. And if it's a video or audio, you see that the lip is not syncing with uh, the audio. It's not syncing. So you just have to like pay detailed attention to all of those things so that you don't fall prey. And something happened one time. I think there was this news going around about WAEC canceling their exams because of AI responses. People were using AI to write the exams, and the thing really went viral. And people were actually believing that that was actually true. Now, where did that news come from? So you have to verify. There are websites that have valid, maybe, for instance, we know BBC as a site that gives valid information and news. They don't give fake news. You can go there, verify what you are seeing, if it's real or if it was just if it was just somebody that came up with it as well. Then you could don't just stick to headlines. If you see news, you don't just stick to the headlines, read the content as well so that you can analyze it to know. There's what I call the pause method. Okay, the pause method means that you first of all stop and ask where it came from, where this news is coming from, and who the author is. And then the A goes for analyze. So you have to read beyond just headlines that I mentioned already. If the body of the message supports the claims, right? Then the U in the pause is for uncorroborated. Compare with other reputable outlets. So if this is on on which is on one news outlet, you can compare it with another one that you know gives you verified news, so that you are not just sticking to a fake information. Then you can quick search. You can do a quick search to see if there are other places that have also put it. Then the E is for experts. So every sector that we have, there are experts that always give their views on everything that happens daily. So if that thing is actually happened, you expect that there's an expert that's saying something on that thing. So you can check the expert's page and see what he's saying in regards to that. So I don't know.
Thank
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, to our viewers, I hope you've just put in a simple guideline on use of AI, responsible use of AI. Thank you very much, Loretta. Dr. Yinka, are you here?
Yes, I am. My
Okay,
apologies earlier. I've been having
thank you
network
very much
challenges. I
for
had to
being here.
change devices. Yeah, so I'm here now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we've heard from Loretta and how she's explained responsible use of AI. So, as beneficiaries of AI, what do you think are the ethical considerations Nigerians should keep in mind when using AI for learning tools, for business, for entertainment, and every other thing?
Thank you very much. It's a very good question, and I think Loretta has done quite a lot of justice to the first couple of questions asked, especially
Hmm.
with regards to responsible use of AI, because you cannot use something responsibly without taking into consideration much of the ethics regarding that tool as well. But what I like to tell people, first of all, is understand that AI is nothing but a tool. It's just a tool. It's dependent on the needs and aspirations of the user of that tool, right? That will determine how the tool will be used. I use an example of a kitchen knife, right? Somebody develops a kitchen knife to be able to chop vegetables and things quickly. Another person can take that vegetable knife, that table knife, and use to stab somebody. The problem is not with the knife. The problem is with the person who used the knife to stab. Another person may not hold the knife at the handle, now hold the knife at the sharp side and get cut himself. The problem then also too is not with the knife. The problem is with the person. So when we talk about use of AI, we talk about ethical use, responsible use. The main people or main aspect we should actually focus on is not the tool itself, but on the individuals and the people who use this tool. And that is where there's a lot of awareness, a lot of sensitization, a lot of education needs to be put in for our people to know that because something was sent down to you to use and makes your job easier, helps with repetitive tasks, doesn't necessarily mean that you can use it in any means or anyhow that you want to use it for. So we also need to go back to our sociocultural roots, our values as a society. That determines how we use these tools. So regarding the ethics, what are the ethical considerations that you have in a society? What are your beliefs, your sum total of your belief system, your cultural values, right? Make sure that whenever you are using any of these tools, tech, AI, whatever, you do not go contrary to these values as imbibed and given unto you from your parents or wherever it is that you develop your values from church or your religious leaders or whatever. So when we do a lot of advocacy, we go to these community leaders, these people who have influence over the younger generation and over many people, because once we're able to ensure that we keep the ethical values of our society, it will also trickle down to whatever tool we decide to use. For those that have the skills to develop applications using AI, right, to ethically use this tool, we expect that you do not develop an application or use it to do something that would cause some harm. So at the back of your mind, you should have the aim that, okay, how can I use this to do good? So if we're able to ensure that everybody, not possible, but ensure that everybody who develops using AI make sure that their AI tool can only do good, we're able to limit or mitigate against bad usage of AI. Now that's not possible because we understand the society that we live in, and by the time you have three, four, five people, what is good now becomes relative and is subject to interpretation. But what we can, however, hammer on is the societal and cultural values system that we have. A major problem we have in sub-Saharan Africa, especially in Nigeria, is that we are playing catch-up still, right? While the global north and developed society has already gone into the fourth, fifth industrial revolution, we're still playing catch-up onto the third industrial revolution. And what's the implication of that? When these tools are being developed and when the requirements and the ethics behind the usage of the tools are being developed, we are not at the table to give our own socio-cultural input. So we end up taking hook, line, and sinker what has been given to us. And these people that have given to us and have used it, they have their own societal values. They have their own cultural context in which the tools developed were meant to help them achieve the tasks that they want achieved. And that may not necessarily be in line with what we as a society have in mind as proper value system and what we want it want the tool to do for us. So how do we catch up and get to this table? That's another discussion on its own. I like to always appreciate what government is trying to do with the 3MTT program and mass digital literacy. But that's a step in the right direction. But we also need to improve on that individually. We can't wait for government to make everything for us. Government can try and give an enabling environment for businesses and entrepreneurs to thrive. But we also need to tweak and pinch the entrepreneurial mindset of the youth to be able to think beyond the box, do more, given with the little that we have, so that we can ensure that we develop AI tools for us, specific to our own contextualities, so that we take into consideration our own ethical values as well. I hope I've been able to answer your question.
Yeah, you
Without
have.
going up, I'm sorry, as the professor, we talk a lot.
Yeah, you also have to explain to us how we can create a balance between innovation and responsible use of AI. So, creating a balance, how do we help individuals, youth especially, because this is the generation that uses AI more, develop critical thinking skills and identify AI generated content? Loretta explained some of them, but a lot of youths nowadays, they don't even want to think about anything. When you give a problem, the next thing they're doing is they're trying to jump into one AI or the other. So, how do you think we can help individuals create critical thinking skills to identify a lot of these algorithm bias, deep fakes, and everything in their daily internet use?
Yes, so very good question. Number one, there's nothing wrong in using generative AI. There's nothing wrong in having a task or a problem given to you, and first thing you do is to run to AI to try to help you. That is what AI was developed to do. AI was developed to help you make your job easier. It's a tool. Now, however, what we need to really focus on is that the output you get, especially from generative AI, is only as good as the quality of inputs that you give, right? So your prompt itself also determines the quality of the output that you get. What do I do with my students? I say, okay, you are given a term paper, an essay. Use whatever means you want to use, right? If you're going to use generative AI, let me know the generative AI that you used, and then also attach the prompts that you gave as part of your appendix. So I'll be able to know what kind of thinking you had behind requesting that information. That already lets me know whether learning has taken place in the first place, or you are just putting back everything into the generative AI system to give me an output. And even in the quality of the output that it gives me, I'll be able to know whether you added any reasoning of your own into it, whether there's any sense that you have added to what it is that I have given to you to be able to come up with your output. So use of the generative AI itself is not it's not a problem. Algorithmic bias, however, is where uh, the generative AI or the AI solution itself, because of the situation that I mentioned earlier about um, the global south really catching up to the fourth, fifth industrial revolution, because of that challenge of us not being at the table when these things were developed, the algorithms behind the detection and the calculation, mathematical model calculation of whatever output you get is already biased and skewed towards certain features and contextualities of the global north. I give you a good example. Um, maybe there's a airline ticketing software, for example, which is to make ticketing sales easier for the airline in question. And part of the way they do it is to use facial recognition systems to know, okay, who are those that are young, who are those that are old, know how to do the seating arrangements, know how to do everything. But the model and data that this was trained on was predominantly white, Caucasian, male and female, right? And then you have somebody who's mixed race, right? And the mixed race person, the AI model itself is not able to determine categorically whether this is a white person, this is a black person, not able to determine categorically is this a male or is this a female, because the data that the model will use to train does not include these kind of individuals. That's black minorities in quotes and mixed race and so on and so forth. So the right from the development of the tool itself, there's already a bias problem, and that is why when we talk about algorithmic bias, we push for inclusion in development of any tool now. We push for inclusion, and it's more or less like an afterthought. We're saying when you're developing any AI tool, look for whatever groups of minorities are available, whatever hitherto disenfranchised groups are available. Make sure you try and get every possible group into whatever model it is that you are building to try and avoid the algorithmic bias. So we need people also to build airline ticketing system models using Black and Hispanic and other minority data as the data used for training the models to ensure that there's full inclusivity and cuts across all the different types of AI and generative AI models that we may have out there. So that's how we can avoid the algorithmic bias. In using these tools that are already biased, we also need to acknowledge them. If we're using them for academic purposes, we need to acknowledge that there's nothing wrong in saying, I've used this tool, there is this identified bias with this tool, so the output may not be 100% correct, but based on what I have gotten, I can say, okay, a certain percentage, and I use that to extrapolate. Research allows for that. We don't need to, you see, the problem is the person doesn't want to put in the work. That's the ethics we're talking about. The person's first mindset is, how can I use generative AI to cheat? How can I use it to get it better? It's not really looking to say, how can I use it to make my research work better? Or how can I cheat and get a good grade in this guy's class? So that is the mindset we're trying to change. Change the mindset from how to cut corners, from how to take advantage of, change the mindset to how to use these things to make your work easier, to make your work better, to improve the society.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much. So yeah, you mentioned a lot of points. Part of it is prompting. And then our last question for you today is, how can we help people avoid over reliance? Because as much as we want to use it to help us in a few parts, help us do better in our business, in our personal life, how do we help people avoid over reliance on AI systems while still benefiting from everything that AI has to offer us?
Yeah, another beautiful question. Um, 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, I was in Katsina for an ICT capacity assessment of teachers there. And it was a very eye-opening experience for me because I went there with a certain bias on the capacity, on the level of skills I should expect to see. And while I was doing that, my biases were corrected. Shows that a lot of work has been put into improving digital literacy skills. Now, where am I going to with that? However, because a lot of work has been put into improving digital literacy skills, the teachers had become a little bit over reliant on the tool, right? So you find a teacher who has the subject matter expert in mathematics, for example, and is now trying to use um, maybe a MATLAB or even ordinary PowerPoint to teach a class, right? Which was the assessment task that I gave. He's more focused on ensuring that the tool is working than in giving the knowledge and capacity that he has. And I had to say, stop. People need to understand AI tech is nothing more than a tool. You, with the knowledge that you have, you are the prize. You are the most important person in this situation, in this gathering that we're in, right? What you have to give us, the knowledge that you have to give us is what we are after. Know that you are the prize. Know that this tool itself is just to help you to propagate this prize that you have in a better manner or in a more efficient manner, or even in a manner that can reach more people. Not necessarily for us to say, oh, we must use the tool, or the tool is the energy, or the tool, or that the fact that I can use the tool, or the tool itself is the prize. What have you built with? What is it that you are bringing out? What is your contribution? That is the prize. Know that you yourself, you are the prize, and we have that at the back of our mind in whatever business we find ourselves in in the classroom. You, the teacher, you are the prize. What you are giving out in business, the knowledge that I have about this this market, the knowledge that I have in how to go to market, scale to market, in entrepreneurship, in all these things, that is the prize. What I have, what me, the human being, I am the prize. Once we have that at the back of our mind, we don't get over reliant on these tools. It will help us not to get over reliant on these tools. Because, like I said earlier on, they are nothing but tools, right? Just to help us to do what it is that we know how to do better. We develop the tools to help us, not the tools to take over from us, as some sci-fi movies may want to show. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that. We are really grateful. This is a general question, and I think for both of you are in academics, and then it will be easier for anybody to answer me and help our users better understand. I think before we ask our users for questions, if they do have. So you mentioned us using AI tools, understanding that these are just tools that which we can use, and we also have guidelines of how we can use the tools and avoid over reliance and every other thing. So we have older generation of people who are just getting into use of AIs. Like at the moment, we see AI videos that they just create one very interesting AI video and they will say Jesus is coming soon, and one old woman sees it and freaks out, and the rest of it. To the older generation, do you have any advice on how we can tell them, okay, when you use AI tools or when you see a video or anything with AI tools, what are the, aside from lip movements, which I'm not sure all of them pay attention to, what are the things you can go look out for, the red flags and everything when you're interacting, all these for our older generation, not the younger generation, just for them to understand.
Loretta, do you want to go first, or should I?
Okay, sir, you can go first.
All right, thank you. Um, so this is a very interesting question. Um, if you have an older generation individual who is already able and capable to use the tools such a level that he or she can watch and get all these things, you are even lucky. There are some of them who still don't know how to get that, and it's very much understandable. Um, I'll use my father as an example. I tell him, anything you don't know, anything you receive, forward to me first before you do anything else, because it's almost impossible for you to reach out to them to explain to them 90% of what we have just talked about today. It's a it's a it's a generational societal difference. The divide is so much. In the digital divide in this case is so much that it's almost impossible to be able to say, this is how you detect this is how you detect that. But what I say, if where you are confused, when you are not sure, 100% sure, don't act. Has to do not just with the videos that you see, but even with messages, so-called messages from banks, to lock your PIN or to do this to your account, or all those, anything you are not sure of, don't act. Some will come say, you have only 30 seconds to do this, 1 minute to do that. Well, don't act. Nothing's going to happen. The world will end. Don't act if you are not sure. Wait and get clarification. Reach out to me if I'm not available. If it has to do with the bank, reach out to your account officer. If it has to do with a video that you don't understand or anything, leave it. It's not compulsory that you send it or you forward it immediately or you believe what it says immediately. No, there have been so many instances. So many instances. Remember back some years back during the Ebola outbreak that some videos and text messages went around that drink salt and or do this with salt, bath with salt, and all those things. And statistics show that more people died from that salt thing than the Ebola itself. So many of these things have serious repercussions. So when they are not sure, when it's not 100% sure that it is this or it is that, don't act. If it's not from somebody that you can 100% verify, don't act. Always ask for a second opinion or a third opinion. And for those who are even Christians, the Bible says 2 or 3 witnesses before you take a decision. So it's wisdom in itself to always ask and seek clarification before you take a decision or you decide or you do anything with whatever information that you get. Because deep fake is it's out there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Loretta?
Okay, I think Prof has said almost everything, but I'll just add just a little. So, first of all, I want to say, create awareness for them. It's very important, which is why I appreciate this program, because our parents would see what is from Plateau State government than what is from my page, better and faster. So this is a good one. So it's good to like tell them what is happening, because they can easily get deceived because of what is out there. They are on the internet, but they don't really understand it. And aside from telling them to stop and think before they act, they might stop think and they still end up sharing it, right? But after they realize that, okay, it's not legit, it's not true, the news they just shared to one WhatsApp group is not true, it was AI generated and all of those things, they can go back and retrieve it, or go back and say it in the group that, okay, this thing that was shared was just AI generated, and it's not true, or it was a old picture that was used or something like that, or it was AI generated. Definitely it will be out. So you that has shared it, go back tell tell that, okay, you found out that that thing is not true. So I think majorly it's to just create more awareness for them so that they understand it, because there's a wide gap, and before they can keep up, we have already really moved fast. So yeah, just more awareness for them.
Okay, thank you very much. To our viewers, to avoid AI-driven misinformation, please don't act. Stop, think, verify information before you act. If you don't get anybody to verify, you could ask more, check, Google it. You'd see one or two things that link you back. So to our YouTube viewers, we would like to take any questions you have, any questions for our panelists today, so that they would help us and help you better understand responsible use of AI today. Okay, so since we do not have any questions coming in, and so we don't keep you longer than expected, we want to thank you very much, our panelists, for sharing insightful perspective with us. Today we learned a lot about what AI has to offer us, exciting opportunities, and how we protect ourselves and our data, avoid misusing, avoid over reliance, and avoid misinformation as well. Being mindful of ethics and remembering that AI is just a tool that is designed to help us. So whatever we're using AI for, we know that it's not the AI that is our fault, it's the human that is using the AI. On behalf of PICDA, I would like to thank our speakers and everyone who joined us today. Let us continue this conversation next month, put these lessons into practice, and engage with AI responsibly. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day. Thank you very much. Bye. Dr. Yinka and Loretta, we are really grateful. Thank you very much for joining us on this session.